Okay, so today we are going to solve for a variable, and we see that Grayson needs to drive 320 miles to get to Norman, Oklahoma for an OU football game. He has 4 hours to get there in time for the kickoff. So we want to find out what speed will he have to travel in order to get there in time. Well, we know the formula that we always use is distance equals rate times time. Well, we have the distance and we have the time. What we're missing is the rate. So we can rearrange this formula to solve for R. That's the speed he's going to need to drive in order to get there on time. So let's take our formula, D equals RT, and we're going to get that R all by itself. Since the R is multiplied by T, we're going to divide both sides by T to undo the multiplication. So notice I've got D equals RT. If I divide by T on both sides, I end up with distance divided by time equals my rate. Okay, now I've got the rate all by itself. I do have the distance and I do have the time. So I'm going to go back and use that information I had from the last slide to solve for this. So I know that he was trying to drive 320 miles and he had 4 hours in which to do that. So that means my rate then was 80 miles per hour. Okay, a little fast there. Might get a speeding ticket. All right, so when we're trying to solve for a variable, first thing we're going to do is locate the variable that you're asked to solve for in the equation. In this case, it was the rate. Next, we're going to identify the operations on that variable and the order in which they're applied, because our goal is to use inverse operations to undo whatever operations were there to isolate the variable. And I'll show you what that means. It sounds a lot more complicated than it really is. So here's our formula for the area of a triangle. Okay, it's area equals 1/2 times the base times the height. And we want to solve for H. Well, how are we going to do that? Let's see, hold on. We've got our formula here. I want to solve for the H. So notice that H is highlighted because that's what I want to get all by itself. Well, I'm going to have to undo what's already there. I've got a 1/2 in my way. So the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to divide by 1/2 or multiply by the reciprocal being 2. So I'm going to multiply by 2 on both sides. So I get 2a equals bh. So these 2's canceled out. I have bh left over here, and I've got 2a on the other side of the equation. Well, my h isn't yet by itself. I still need to undo that multiplication with the b. So I'm going to divide by b both sides. So my final answer is 2 times the area divided by the base will give me the height. And that's it. Okay, so let's try this again. The formula for a person's typing speed is S equals W minus 10E divided by M. So S is the speed in words per minute, W is the number of words typed, E is the number of errors, and M is the number of minutes typing. And we want to solve for W. So we've got this W up there, and we want to get all this other stuff on the other side so we can solve for W. So what are we going to do first? Well, first I'm going to have to get rid of this denominator because everything is divided by M. So first things first, I'm going to multiply by M on both sides. So I have MS equals W minus 10E. Okay, well, my W is still not alone. I need to add 10E to undo the subtraction here. So that means I have to add 10E on the other side of the equation. So I have MS plus 10E equals W, and that is my final answer. Okay, so it turns out what I actually wanted to solve for was E, so we can still do that, right? So we had S equals W minus 10E divided by M. Again, I still have to get rid of my M on both sides because that needs to go away. So MS equals W minus 10E. Well, then I'm going to get rid of my W by subtracting W both sides. My W's gone over here, so I have MS minus W equals negative 10E. Well, I still have my variable with a coefficient, so I need to get rid of that coefficient. I'm going to divide by negative 10. Please be careful when you're dividing by a negative number because you all aren't necessarily taking account of that in changing your signs on the other side. Okay, so now we have E all by itself, and on the other side I have E equals a negative MS minus W divided by 10. Okay, hopefully that made sense. If it didn't, take a minute to check out this slide. All right, so a formula is actually a type of literal equation. A literal equation is an equation with two or more variables. We need to solve for one of the variables, so we're going to use inverse operations to do that. Here's a very simple one. Sorry about that. I've got x plus y equals 15. I want to solve for x. So what was I doing before? I was isolating by the variable by undoing the other things. My x has this y over here. So in fact, I'm going to subtract my y from both sides, giving me x equals 15 minus y. Okay, it's as easy as that. So let's see what you can do with this next slide. You try this one. Formula for a Fahrenheit temperature in terms of degrees Celsius is Fahrenheit equals 9/5 Celsius plus 32. And I want you to solve for C. So if you think you can do this, stop the video and see if you come up with the same answer. I'm going to subtract 32 both sides so that I have Fahrenheit minus 32 equals 9/5 C. I need to divide by 9/5 or multiply by the reciprocal, which is 5/9. And I'm multiplying this side also by 5/9. Notice I put the whole left side of the equation in parentheses because this 5/9, it actually is multiplied by f minus 32, not just the f. So my final answer is, and I'm going to move my variable over to the left side, C equals 5/9 Fahrenheit minus 32. Hopefully you got that. All right, this one definitely you can do on your own. Pause the slide. Okay, I've got D equals M over V. I'm going to multiply by V on both sides. Just to remind you that you're multiplying everything by V. So I've got VD equals M. What I wanted was the V, so I'm going to divide by D both sides so that I get V equals M divided by D. Okay. So this, here's 3 examples. Go ahead, pause the video and try them out. Want to solve for t, so I need to divide by 2. So it's this whole quantity, 5 minus b divided by 2. So that's 5 minus b divided by 2 equals t. And here I am solving for m, so I want this guy all by itself. Multiply by x both sides. Multiply by x, so I get m equals x times k minus 6. And finally this one, I'm solving for b. I'm going to get rid of my 2a both sides. I get negative 5b equals 10 minus 2a. Divide by negative 5. And so my final answer is b equals 10 minus 2a divided by negative 5. And that negative can be on the top or the bottom, as you know. That's it. So go ahead and do video number 7, I believe. And if it's not, it's number 8. Look for the one that says solving for a variable or literal equations.